Have you ever shared a piece of news, a dream, or a secret, and the moment the words left your mouth, you felt a wave of instant regret? It's a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, a silent question you ask yourself, why did I say that? You felt a subtle shift in the room's energy, or perhaps in your own. That feeling is not just paranoia. It is your intuition recognizing that you've just broken one of the unspoken rules of silence. In our hyper-connected world, we're taught that sharing is caring, that vulnerability is strength. But what if the most powerful, wisest, and most successful people operate by a different code? What if true power lies not in what you say, but in what you choose to protect? There are certain parts of your life that act as a source of personal power. When you expose them carelessly, you don't just lose privacy, you leak power. You invite judgment, you dilute your own motivation, and you hand control over to others. Every time you felt that sinking regret after sharing too much, that was your intuition telling you what this list makes clear. This isn't about being secretive or paranoid. This is about being strategic. Today, we are going to restore that power by revealing the 6 critical things you must keep private for your own good. By the end of this video, you won't just have a list, you'll have a new framework for navigating the social world. If you've ever felt a pull towards more privacy, you're not antisocial, you're strategic. The pressure to document and declare every part of our lives is immense. Social media feeds are a highlight reel of announcements, achievements, and emotional declarations. But this constant broadcast comes at a cost, one we rarely talk about. This video is your permission slip to opt out of that pressure. We're going to explore a concept I call strategic silence. It's the conscious decision to keep certain information protected, not out of fear, but as a form of power and self-respect. For each of the 6 secrets we'll cover, I'm not just going to tell you what to keep private. More importantly, we're going to dive into the psychological reason why. Understanding the why transforms a simple rule into a piece of wisdom you can apply everywhere. We'll cover 6 secrets, but the first one is the one that silently sabotages most people's ambitions without them even realizing it. And it's based on a fascinating psychological flaw that affects almost everyone. So get ready to feel more in control, more secure, and frankly, more powerful. This is about protecting your energy and your future. Let's begin with the first and most critical secret. The first thing you must keep private is your major goals and ambitions. This is deeply counterintuitive because we are often told to share our goals for accountability. We think sharing our goals motivates us. The truth is, it sedates us. There's a known psychological effect at play here, which psychologists sometimes call social reality. When you announce your intention to do something, like run a marathon or write a book, and you receive praise or encouragement, your brain experiences a premature sense of completion. The social acknowledgement acts as a reward, and that reward signal can trick your brain into feeling like you've already achieved the goal. This feeling of satisfaction significantly reduces your actual motivation to do the hard work required to make it a reality. Think about it this way. There are 2 aspiring novelists. Big news! I'm finally starting my novel. They get dozens of likes and comments saying, "Congratulations," and "You're going to be amazing." They feel great for a day, basking in the validation. But the internal drive to write diminishes because they've already received the social reward, nothing to anyone. They quietly wake up an hour early every day for a year, facing the blank page alone. Their only motivation is the burning desire to finish the story. One day, they post a picture of their published book. The announcement is the achievement itself. Your goals are fragile in their infancy. They need to be incubated in silence, not validated by applause. So work in private and let your results be the conversation starter. The second secret, and this one is counterintuitive for many, is to keep your good deeds and acts of charity mostly to yourself. In an age of performative altruism, where every charity run needs a dozen selfies, this might sound strange. But the psychology here is about sincerity and the perceived value of the act. When you perform a good deed and then immediately announce it, you subtly change the nature of the transaction. The primary reward is no longer the internal satisfaction of helping someone, but the external validation you receive from others. It risks turning a selfless act into a selfish one, an act of genuine kindness into an investment in your social image. Others can sense this, even if they don't say it. The act that would have been seen as pure and admirable becomes tainted with the suspicion of ego. Consider the person who quietly volunteers at a shelter every weekend, never mentioning it. Their reward is the work itself and the impact they have. Now, compare that to someone who volunteers once and posts a long emotional story about it, complete with carefully curated photos. While the act itself is still helpful, the broadcast of it makes the audience question the motive. Was this about helping or about being seen helping? True generosity doesn't need an audience. Its value is inherent. When you keep your good deeds private, you preserve their purity, and you allow yourself to enjoy the genuine internal reward of altruism. But all of these external secrets mean nothing if you can't manage your internal world. The last secrets we'll cover are the most important for your own peace of mind. This brings us to our third secret, which deals with the sacred trust of relationships, and that is to never air your family's dirty laundry. This applies to your family of origin, your partner, or your closest circle of friends. It can be incredibly tempting to vent to a coworker or a casual friend about a fight with your spouse or a frustration with a sibling. In the moment, it feels like releasing pressure, but the long-term damage can be immense. Here's the psychological damage it does. First, it is a profound betrayal of trust. You are taking a private, shared struggle and making it public, exposing someone who trusts you to the judgment of outsiders. Those outsiders now have a permanent negative impression of someone you supposedly care about, and they can't defend themselves. Second, it locks you into a negative narrative. Every time you tell the story of how your partner wronged you, you are reinforcing that negative image in your own mind, making it harder to forgive and move on. You are practicing the argument, not the resolution. Think of the difference between venting to a coworker about your spouse and discussing the issue with a therapist or directly with your spouse in a calm moment. The coworker can only offer sympathy and judgment, which fuels the drama. A therapist or a constructive conversation aims for understanding and resolution. The person you vented to will remember that negative story long after you've made up. Your short-term relief can create a long-term crack in the foundation of your relationship. Treat your words like currency. Don't spend them on people who haven't earned the right to hear them. If you're finding this advice valuable because you're someone who is focused on growth and self-mastery, take a moment to subscribe. It's a simple click that affirms your commitment to building a more powerful, intentional life. Okay, that last one was heavy, but it was necessary. Let's shift from the defensive to the offensive. The next secrets aren't just about protection, they're about projecting power. Number 4 is a big one in our status-obsessed world, which is to be extremely vague and strategic about your income and financial status. Unless you are in a professional context that requires it, like applying for a loan, the specific numbers of your salary, your savings, or your investments should be off limits. The psychology here is that money is never just a number. It is a symbol loaded with emotion, status, and power. Sharing specific figures fundamentally and often permanently alters the dynamic of your relationships. If you earn significantly more than your friends, it can create a wall of resentment or envy. People may start to see you as a resource or treat you differently, creating an awkward distance. If you earn significantly less, it can lead to feelings of pity, unsolicited advice, or being excluded from activities they assume you can't afford. In either scenario, you are no longer just a friend. You are a friend with a price tag attached. Think about a group of friends who have known each other for years. One of them gets a massive promotion and casually mentions their new six-figure salary. Suddenly, when they suggest a restaurant, others wonder if it's too expensive. When they complain about a small expense, it rings hollow. When someone else in the group is struggling financially, they may feel too ashamed or too proud to ask for help from the rich friend. The knowledge of that number becomes a ghost in the room, changing every interaction. Being private about your finances isn't deceptive. It's a way to ensure your relationships are based on who you are, not what you have. The fifth secret is a close cousin of the first, but it is about action, not ambition. Keep your next big move quiet until it's made. This could be a plan to change careers, move to a new city, or leave a relationship. While your goals are about the destination, your moves are about the journey, and announcing the path gives everyone a map to interfere with your progress. The psychological reason for this silence is to protect your decision from the two great saboteurs, doubt and permission. When you announce a big move, you invite a flood of opinions. Are you sure that's a good idea? It sounds risky. Their anxieties can plant seeds of doubt in your mind, weakening your resolve at a critical moment. You also subconsciously start seeking permission from others to make a choice that is fundamentally yours alone. Furthermore, there is immense power in strategic surprise. When you're negotiating a new job, the last thing you want is your current boss to know you're planning to leave, as it strips you of leverage. When you make your move from a position of quiet confidence, you present people with a finished reality, not a debatable proposal. They have to react to your action, not influence your intention. This is how you move with agency and authority in your own life. Let your success be the announcement. And now for our sixth and final secret, which resolves the open loop from earlier. This one is entirely about protecting your internal world. Do not constantly revisit your past grievances. This refers to old wounds, betrayals, or slights that you hold on to. It is vital to process these things, perhaps with a therapist or in a journal, but it is destructive to constantly air them in casual conversation. The psychological reason is this. When you repeatedly talk about how you were wronged, you are chaining yourself to the past. You are keeping the wound fresh and giving the person or event that hurt you continued power over your present emotional state. It also defines you in the eyes of others. If you are constantly talking about a bad breakup from 5 years ago or a conflict with a former boss, you don't just sound bitter. You can't let go. Your identity becomes anchored to your pain rather than your potential. Choosing not to speak about old grievances is not an act of denial. It is an act of liberation. It's a declaration that your future is more important than your history. By keeping them private, you starve them of the oxygen of attention, and you allow them to finally heal into scars, which are reminders of strength instead of open wounds. All right, you have the 6 secrets. But how do you use this in real life right now? Knowledge is useless without a practical application. So I'm going to give you a simple 3-question filter you can use anytime you're about to share something important. Let's call it the share or secure checklist. Before you speak, mentally run through these 3 questions. What is my primary motive for sharing this? Am I seeking genuine connection or help? Or am I just looking for validation, ego-stroking, or to vent irresponsibly? Be brutally honest with yourself here. An honest motive is often a green light, while an ego-driven one is a major red flag. Question 2. Who does this information truly belong to? Is it only my story to tell, or does it involve others who have a right to privacy, like in the case of family problems? Sharing someone else's story is a betrayal, plain and simple. And question 3, what is the most likely outcome of sharing versus not sharing this information? Don't just think about the immediate good feeling of getting something off your chest. Consider the long-term effects. Will this build connection, or will it create complication? Will it empower me, or will it make me vulnerable? Running through this quick mental checklist can save you from countless moments of regret. It transforms privacy from a vague concept into a deliberate, daily practice. So we've journeyed through the 6 crucial domains of your life that deserve the protection of silence. We've learned to keep our major goals private to protect our motivation. We've seen why our good deeds have more power when they aren't announced. We've understood the sacred trust we break when we air family problems. We've recognized the complications that come from revealing our finances. We've appreciated the strategic power of keeping our next big move quiet. And we have chosen to find freedom by not constantly revisiting past grievances. Bringing it all together, you can see a pattern emerging. The common thread through all of these is control. True privacy isn't about hiding. It's about control. It's control over your narrative, your motivation, your relationships, and your own peace of mind. Remember that feeling of regret we talked about at the beginning? That's the feeling of losing control. The feeling you'll have now, armed with this knowledge, is the opposite. It is the quiet, solid confidence of knowing you are the master of your own story. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the power of privacy. You are the guardian of your life's most precious assets. If this is the kind of thinking you want more of, and you're ready to continue mastering your life, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Your journey into strategic living is just beginning. Until next time, stay wise and stay in control.